devil. Oh, here comes the devil. Oh, here comes the devil.
Oh, the devil with the devil, says I.
Shh, look out for the devil. Look out for the devil. Look out for the devil.
Oh, the devil with the devil, says I. You're so afraid of old man Satan. Now, why don't you stop your hesitating? You're gonna be a long time dead, so the devil with the devil, says I. You're always giving me the dickens, telling me that life's no easy pickings. But just as long as I have fun, why, the devil with the devil, says I. You can have your social teas and bingo for your fun. But the things I like to do, you stop me one by one. Now even if you make me stronger, that ain't gonna make me live no longer. So even if I go to shh, the devil with the devil, says I.
Look out for the devil, look out for the devil.
Oh, the devil with the devil, says I.
Here comes the devil. Oh, here comes the devil. Oh, here comes the devil.
Oh, the devil with the devil, says I.
Shh, look out for the devil.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we are finally for the Leo Zagami show, broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, X, Rumble. We're having some problems today with BitChute, so we might upload it later on. We don't know why that happened. It's never happened before, but we tried to get it to start. That's why we had a short delay in kickstarting this show. Anyway, welcome. And who are today's sponsors, Christy?
Daniel and Malcasada Minta.
Thank you so much. And if you want to join them, you can do it with GoFundMe or also with the Cash App handle that you can find on neozagami.com together with my latest articles. And also thank you to all those people who have been purchasing my latest book, The Rise and Fall of a Frankist Monster, because this book, exposing Jeffrey Epstein and the most powerful Jewish sect in the world, thanks to you, is becoming a bestseller, and I'm really glad of that. So don't miss the opportunity to make a special present also for Christmas with this book. It's I'm selling it for a price that it's almost losing money. It's like $16, I think, for a copy.
It's the least amount.
It's the least amount possible we could put for this book, and it's actually worth it. Because
and you guys bought it, so
it's almost
lots
300
and lots
pages.
of people bought the book this week, so thank you very much. We're very happy.
Thank you so much. And now, of course, so we start. We never wanted foreign wars. We always said America first, and the actual philosophy of America first is built on no foreign wars. However, we are still financing the war in Ukraine. We have given money to Israel. we are in this never-ending pattern, which is only enriching the military-industrial complex. And Trump now wants to invade Venezuela. This is, of course, I think this will be the moment in which a lot of people from the Maga movement will realize that maybe Trump is not really for America first. And I think that Rand Paul explained it very well a few days ago in this interview, which I'm now gonna make you listen.
Go now to Republican Senator Rand Paul, who joins us from
There is a moment in this interview which really explains it in a very clear way.
So people are like, oh, well, Rubio's done a good job on foreign aid, and they've cut back on all of the abuse of these NGOs around the world. And I think the people supporting the president have been very supportive of the Secretary of State. But I think once there's an invasion of Venezuela, or if they decide to re-up the subsidies and the gifts to Ukraine, I think you'll see a splintering and a fracturing of the movement that has supported the president, because I think a lot of people, including myself, were attracted to the president because of his reticence to get us involved in foreign war.
Well, to date, they say nothing on or off the table, no specifics. We'll continue to track all the reporting.
And now, in the last few hours, Trump has basically warned all the airplane companies flying over the Venezuelan airspace to clear up from there. So it's basically closing the Venezuelan airspace. This can only mean one thing: the possibility of a war. Trump declaring Venezuela airspace is closed, I repeat, can only mean one thing.
Donald Trump has declared Venezuela's airspace is closed in its entirety after he vowed US land strikes will start very soon. The US president's warning comes amid escalating tensions between Washington and Caracas, with fear ramping up over an all-out war over Venezuela's drug gangs. In a post on Truth Social, Trump announced, to all airlines, pilots, drug dealers and human traffickers, please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety. The airspace closure comes as US and Venezuela continue to clash over Trump's war on drugs.
Now, they also said that maybe Maduro will be coming to America to talk directly with Trump. I hope it doesn't end up like Mandani being welcomed like a hero and treated as such, because at that point, I mean, the credibility of the White House will be even less. However, the fact that there is a possibility of another war, guys, that will definitely crack the economy at that point, because we are already trillions of dollars in debt, and this will only add to the problems of our economy. It's not the solution. It's not the beginning of a golden age that was promised to us. It's very disappointing, I repeat, what Trump is doing at the moment. First of all, we don't really have an actual date for the full release of the Epstein files, and if they are released, they will be probably heavily redacted. And this also is very disappointing. But then we have the actual situation regarding the polls that talk very clearly against Trump, because only 36% in Gallup.
It's gone down even more.
It's like Trump is losing more and more and more. And I tell you, if Trump starts a new war, it's going to go down to
10%,
to 5%, to zero, because
-0.
Nobody in the America First movement really wants a war.
I think he's making Biden look good, actually.
Biden can't look good because the guy is so demented. I mean, there was a video of him released in the last few days, and I mean, his conditions are so precarious. You just wonder how he could ever be a candidate, even for a brief time, to the most important office in the United States. However, as you can see, 60% disapprove, 36% approve. Now, because Swalwell, the farting monster who is now candidating himself for governor of California, has used this Gallup poll to criticize Trump, everybody's saying, oh, but this Trump poll is not really realistic. Maybe it's being issued by Democrats in a Democrat city, and so we shouldn't listen about, we shouldn't listen what they're saying. No, guys, the truth is that people are practical, and we were promised a better economy, prices going down. This is not happening. The inflation is not really going down in the way we were promised, as well as the prices in the supermarkets for the everyday citizen. The main goods are still very high in price, regardless of what the White House has been saying and promising. Now, we are no communists here, and the alternative was Kamala Harris. So it's like...
we didn't have a good choice.
I mean, it's like a human being or somebody with the brain of a chicken. And of course...
and the human being...
And the human being might be slightly corrupt in his second mandate.
Slightly?
I mean, the stakes are at a price now that, I mean, you can only eat meat if you are a millionaire. And all this is being built on purpose on the back of a system that is about to undergo the biggest revolution since the Industrial Revolution. I'm going to show you something here regarding the AI revolution, which I think is important and relevant because, as you know, I wrote 3 books on the subject, volume 6.66, volume 7, and volume 9.
AI is no longer an abstract threat. It's causing job loss right now, and the headlines, they tell the story. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, on Wednesday released a study that found that artificial intelligence can already replace 11.7% of the U.S. labor market, or as much as $1.2 trillion in wages across finance, healthcare, and professional services. The New York Times recently reported that Amazon is on the cusp of replacing what would be 600,000 warehouse jobs with robots and plans to automate 75% of its operations. CNBC reporting that Salesforce, Walmart, Paramount, UPS, YouTube, and Meta have all announced new rounds of layoffs attributable to AI, with nearly 1 million job cuts nationwide this year. That's the job loss that we can measure. Now consider what some are predicting about the future. Goldman Sachs estimating that 6 to 7% of the U.S. workforce could be displaced due to AI adoption. They do note, however, that the impact may only be transitory because new opportunities created by AI might ultimately put people to work in other capacities. A report by the McKinsey Global Institute finding that AI could displace 40% of American jobs due to automation by 2030. That analysis found that robots and AI agents could automate more than half of U.S. work hours, both manual and cognitive, using technology that's available today if companies redesigned how they'll do things in the future. The World Economic Forum projecting that 92 million jobs worldwide may be displaced by 2030. Ford's CEO saying that AI could replace half of all white-collar workers there. NYU professor Scott Galloway predicting that AI will hit middle management first, noting that 6% dropped in managers at public companies since 2022. So here we are, AI eliminating jobs, more automation coming. If millions of people lose work, how will they support themselves? This is where an idea from the 2020 presidential campaign returns to the conversation. Universal basic income.
Universal basic income.
Oh my gosh, this is a nightmare.
It's inevitably a communist future when you have universal basic income.
It's a nightmare.
So I think that there is a lot of distraction here at the moment on the real problems that we are facing. We shouldn't have any foreign wars. We should simply focus on America first. But if you can't focus on America first, then you are not really making America great again in any way, shape, or form. So what should we do? What is the future here when Trump is about to declare a new war?
Ramps up its military presence in the Caribbean. On Tuesday, Trump vowed to escalate military action against the alleged drug smugglers, saying the US military would start land operations in Venezuela very soon. He said, "You probably noticed that people aren't wanting to be delivering by sea and will also be starting to stop them by land also."
But, to be honest, this is not a war about drugs. This is a war about oil. Oil that America might be losing the reservoirs of the United States of America might be emptying. So we are eager to find new supplies abroad, especially in a place like Venezuela. But then that is no longer it's no longer a policy that can be called acceptable, because it's simply going back into the old neocon ways that brought us to Iraq in the first place, lying about a war on terror, weapons of mass destruction, and all this bullshit that never happened in reality, but was used to get to this war that, of course, generated a lot of deaths, a lot of suffering for both the Americans as well as the Iraqis. And the result of it, now Iraq is a place where Americans are no longer welcome. They are closer and closer to their neighbor Iran, especially because they have a very important Shia element. I will advise you to read this book, Volume 10, especially after what happened just a few days ago in Washington, D.C., with this Afghani member of the Zero Unit, special unit of the CIA, and apparently the brother of this guy who is now has been arrested, is of course been shot, so he's also been taken care of. We know that one of the two service members of the National Guard died. That's a very big thing, because this guy was, in a way, an elite member of a special unit, just like his brother, who was actually the platoon leader, as stated by the Gateway Pundit. So, was this guy in any way mind control? Because we know that Ramanullah Lankawal, this 29-year-old Afghani who is now charged with the ambush murder of National Guard Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, who was served as a whose brother served as a platoon leader in the same CIA-backed Zero Unit, was doing things that are typical of mind control people. I mean, now they're investigating connections to international terrorism. We know that international terrorism, in the end, is always controlled by the American deep state or by the Russians, depending on which side of the Middle East you are. So the fact that this guy from Afghanistan, who was paying $2,000 a month for his rent, had a family, was adjusting to the American way of life. Apparently, the wife has nothing to say about it all, but the truth is that he might have been himself the victim of mind control. Let's not forget what I said in volume 11 of my confessions in regards to MK Ultra. MK Ultra, the real the full denomination of MK Ultra, it's manufacturing killers utilizing lethal tradecraft requiring assassination. This is in my book, volume 11 of my confessions here, and it explains how even for 9/11, for these people were mind control and used to attack America, but the interest, of course, were the interest of the deep state, because then they had an excuse to declare war on the enemy, the supposed enemy, an enemy that often is created artificially. So what's happening now? Trump reacts and says that he prohibits entrance, and the green card holders from various countries have been now suspended. I mean, it's like they are putting back into discussion even those Afghani people who collaborated with the Americans. And so if they go back to Afghanistan, they will be killed. There is no other solution for them. Either they stay here or either they get killed. So Trump calling a journalist stupid for questioning him, when in reality, the real question is this guy was working for the CIA. This guy might have been mind control. He might have been a Manchurian Candidate. Just watch the movie, the first Manchurian Candidate with Frank Sinatra, or the second one with Denzel Washington, coming back actually from the Middle East, and then being programmed to kill. And this could be the real answer here. But why? Because, of course, now we can militarize more and more our cities, in particular Washington, D.C., where, of course, the elite, as well as the politicians, know that once you bring out the Epstein files, even if not in their entirety, there could be a lot of people that have crazy ideas and would like to go there and, create acts like this guy shooting. Now, we hope that will never happen. But like somebody is saying here in the chat, all wars are bankers' wars. But who are the bankers? Who are the bankers who went on Jekyll Island over 100 years ago and created the Federal Reserve, the Schiff, the Warburg, the Rothschild? These families are the families who in reality are part of the Sabbatean Frankist milieu. They are the ones who have created this banking cartel, which works together with the military industrial complex and the big pharma. They made happy the big pharma with the pandemic, which provided for a lot of money with a lot of useless vaccines. And now they are, of course, instigating more and more wars since then. It's not a coincidence. So they are, of course, preparing for something that might be very ugly. In the coming months, we need to be very much on full alert. And I don't understand how it's possible for somebody like Alex Jones to not ask his dear friend Steve Bannon about his own involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. The fact that he has not yet released a documentary recording 15 hours with Jeffrey Epstein, being the advisor of Jeffrey Epstein, so he could bring back Jeffrey Epstein to the masses, with a different perspective. That never happened, because then Jeffrey Epstein was arrested and eventually he was suicided. But why is Alex Jones not asking Steve Bannon something about Jeffrey Epstein? Why can't he be more clear and honest about the elite that rules both the Republican and the Democratic Party, and all those swamp creatures in Washington, D.C. Somebody says the banks are the Khazarians. No, the Khazarians, it's a big lie, which you need to read a book and study, my friend, because the Khazarians are disinfo promoted by the Sabbatean Frankists, and it doesn't really...
sorry, but you need to read the book. You can't come here and write stuff if you don't know stuff.
Yeah, of course, we are monitoring here the chat. We interact with the chat as we promised in the presentation of the show, and we do this because we like doing it. Actually, we're going to open and show it on the side so people can feel more involved. But when something is said that it's not real, we are the bullshit busters. And the Khazarians...
There sure is a lot of bullshit flying around.
Yeah. There is a lot of bullshit also from those QAnon people who still believe that Trump somehow is helping behind the scenes, going after human traffickers. And of course...
Did they arrest Tom Hanks?
No, they didn't arrest Tom Hanks.
Not this time either?
But Tom Hanks might be on the list of Jeffrey Epstein, like many others, including Michael Jackson. That doesn't mean, though, that we will have suddenly a court case against Tom Hanks, who is still alive, on the contrary of Michael Jackson, who instead ended up his life in a very sad way. The guy on the chat said, that's my creative name. That's okay. If you want to be creative, that's okay. I will call them the Sabbatean Luciferians, or the Frankist Luciferians, to be more precise. Candice Owens at the moment says she has received a credible death threat, and she even suspended the show so
Really?
she kind of she's really scared for something that apparently this threat from France, from a special unit in France. So why
did she go so hard after Macron then?
Well, no, but why is the White House not protecting Candace Owens? Just like, Candace Owens needs to be protected like everybody else who helped this president become the president. Because without Candace Owens, without Tucker Carlson, without Joe Rogan, there would not have ever been a 47th president called Donald J. Trump. So I think this is the problem here. There is a lot of disappointment. And
that's an egregore.
And those who believe that Trump has still a chance, well, they can still believe that, but Trump will have to do a complete U-turn. He will have to actually show us.
No, I don't think that's possible. It's not.
So you think
no,
that is
I don't think so. I'm not kidding. No, I don't think so.
That's not possible because, of course.
I mean, never say never. Anybody can change if they find God.
Yes.
So, you should never say never.
Well,
but, I mean, it would have to be a big turnaround, and I don't know what's going to happen. So, I have no idea. I don't rule anybody out, and there's forgiveness if you change. If you don't change and you're not willing to change, then nothing's going to change.
Guys, the answer is very simple here. It's an answer that I think most fans of Trump, members of the Maga should keep in mind. The answer is actually the question. First of all, the answer. But the question is, why did Trump not release the files when he could have done it as the executive branch could preside and deliver directly from the DOJ all the material without going through Congress? Why? So the answer here is he compromised in some way? Why all this, saying that the whole Epstein thing is a hoax, No, it's not a hoax. There is victims, and my book is actually dedicated to the victims.
It too much, so.
And somebody saying, are the Jesuit with the Sabbatean Frankists? Of course, just read volume 12.
Totally
and I'm going to show you a video to prove it, because in the last few days. Actually, on Thanksgiving, instead of eating a turkey, Pope Leo went to Turkey and bowed down. Yes, guys, bowed down to the tomb of a Sabbatean Frankist, Ataturk, the mausoleum of Ataturk. He went there, he brought flowers. He did something that no other Pope ever did. Let's go and check. This is Istanbul, Turkey, and the images are the images of Pope Leo, who arrives to the mausoleum of Ataturk. If you want to know more about Ataturk, you should actually get my latest book, because I talk about Ataturk, I talk about the Dome, and I talk about it also in volume 10 of my Confessions. But in actually the book on Epstein, it's very, very clear. So here we have the Pope who enters here, watch, with the flowers, the whole show, and he salutes. I'm going to show you this because it's quite incredible. There is a photo that I think gives us a better idea of the level in which this Pope has brought the church. I mean, bowing down to Sabbatean Frankists who ended the Ottoman Empire together with the Dome, together with the Young Turks, who were fomented by the core force of the Dome in Thessaloniki, as I explained in my book. And he's there bowing down, bringing flowers, and treating the founder of modern Turkey like he's a saint. Ataturk was no saint. Ataturk was a guy who understood that a religion could be used. In fact, he invited on the famous Orient Express, like 40 imams from the most important mosques, brought a bunch of prostitutes and then blackmailed them for the rest of their lives. That is how Ataturk works. So he was no holy man, and to do something like the Pope has done, it's just, I mean, insane. I mean, the level here is beyond. I mean, you are talking about a Pope. A Pope shouldn't be bowing down to a Sabbatean Frankist, but in his mausoleum, but he did it because, of course, that's how it works. And if you remember, in Volume 12 of My Confessions, which is another bestseller, this book here, History, Secret Societies, and the Politics of the Jesuit New World Order and the Luciferian Court, I explain also how this Pope is no longer a Pope. The last Pope was Pope Francis. Last year, on the 13th, there was actually a document that was published without making a lot of publicity of it. This document states that the Pope is no longer the supreme pontiff of all Christians or the supreme figure of all Christians, but simply the bishop amongst bishops. And to sanction all that, the Pope, during his trip to Turkey, did this historic prayer joining his Orthodox, how you can say, the Orthodox Pope, even if it's not a Pope, is Bartolomeo I, is the most important figure in the Orthodox Church. Now, there is a lot of people that think that the Orthodox Church can be an alternative. But let me specify, the only alternative might be, if you want, the Russian Orthodox Church. Because when it comes down to all other Orthodox churches, they are corrupt and they are part of the upcoming world religion that the Jesuits have put together. Here is the Pope with Bartolomeo I.
Eager to maintain the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace. With this in mind, we reiterate our joy, great joy, in welcoming Your Holiness as a brother and renewing our sister church's commitment to labor together for the proclamation of the good news of salvation, bringing peace and reconciliation to the world. We embrace you fraternally in Christ. Christ is in our midst.
Fraternally in Christ. Why is that? Because it's a Masonic thing behind it all, guys. There is a Masonic planning behind it all. In fact, the images that I'm going to show you now are the images of somebody I know very well, who was also present for this event. General Bartolomeo Savoio kissing the ring of Bartolomeo I before the beginning of the event. For those who have not read my books, Bartolomeo Savoio is the guy who inherited the Masonic position from Licio Gelli. And these are images that come directly from the current meeting. And there is also another image here, of course, shaking hands with Bartolomeo Savoio as an official Grand Master of his Grand Lodge in Romania. And he was so close to be able to also take this photo of the Pope and Bartolomeo I that were literally a few meters from him. Here we have the image that Bartolomeo took of Bartolomeo I, because I mean the actual key figure of the Orthodox Church of Constantinople is called Bartolomeo I, and this special, see, he's not wearing anything here. He's wearing a special kind of red. This was worn many decades ago by his predecessor. I think it was Paul VI, when he did a special ecumenical encounter with the Orthodox Church. So the Jesuits, I said, they found shelter in Russia under Catherine. In reality, they took shelter in Podolia, or parts of what is now Ukraine, Poland, and all those, and of course, all the territories which Jacob Frank and earlier Shabbatai Zevi had infiltrated with this heresy were also connected to the Jesuits. The connection between the Jesuits and the Sabbatean Frankists is well described in volume 12 of my Confessions, and is also cited in my latest book on Jeffrey Epstein. So, Sabbatean Frankists and Jesuits heading the whole show and preparing for a one-world religion. That is basically what is happening. And then we have the psyops around us, the psychological operations, which I've been talking about in volume 11 of my Confessions, who are now reaching a new level. In fact, only a couple of days ago, Fort Bragg published a new video in which they state we are everywhere. It's a new recruiting video. I talked about the previous two in volume 11 of my Confessions, the past, present, and future of mind control, from Sun Tzu to MK Ultra and beyond. This is the new video from Fort Bragg.
Goddamn army.
There's another force applied in combat that we generally don't think of as a weapon of war. That weapon is words. Words are weapons.
Telling the truth is the only way in which to influence people.
This is psychological warfare.
So if you want to be recruited, they are searching for you, huh? And you can end up in Fort Bragg pushing the psychological operations for this scenario, which is unveiling in front of our eyes as we speak, including the invasion of Venezuela. That might be possible in the coming hours. We don't know. It might be also possible that Maduro suddenly comes to Washington, but that will be also part of the whole theater. In any case, the whole thing is it's not very good news, guys, because we are pushed from one side to the other, and we are kind of like subject to so much mind control, manipulation. It's incredible, and most people don't want to be aware, don't want to be fully aware of what is going on. They prefer to live on a day-to-day basis without really understanding that it's about time to really become fully aware of these things. Don't you think, Christy?
Yeah.
I mean, because
well, then you have so much confusion. If you don't know what's happening, you're really just sitting there confused, and that is a terrible feeling. So, I mean, I'm disappointed about what Trump did, but I know what's going to happen. I mean,
so what is your take at the moment, Christy, from the perspective of somebody who has always voted Republican? Here, nobody, guys, is a communist. I mean, what I think is that Trump was the last politician. He was not even a politician, but he became a politician who people wanted to believe in. Now that they are disappointed, I think they will no longer vote. And probably in the future, we might have maybe an independent candidate who might raise some attention. But the system is so corrupt. The moment in which you need $1 billion to run for president of the United States, who's going to give you $1 billion? So, what do you think?
I think that the future is pretty unstable right now, and that we all, you want to know what I think? We all need to pray. And we need to get close to God, like I always say. And like, I'm really confused about Trump. Just disappointed, confused. I don't understand why he's done what, it really, you know what? I'm not confused, okay? This is baloney. I'm saying bullshit, because I kind of knew when I was listening to him what he was about, because God wants us humble. And when I went to that rally and I watched him in front of all those people talking about himself the way he always does, and all those people, I see people struggling there, you know, with wheelchairs, and he just went on and on and on. And I could see the people. I was one of them, you know, and then I'm just completely disappointed. I kind of gave him the benefit, hoping that something different would happen, but it would have been a miracle if he would have changed, because I've been looking at this guy since 1980s, and I knew about him because I'm a New Yorker. So whatever.
It's a really big disappointment.
It's huge, and we all feel like it. So we all feel the same. You and me and all of us, we're all the same, guys. We're not any different, okay? We are all the same. We have the same soul that's connected to God, and we're all feeling the same disappointment. We need to do something strong together and stand up and just be strong inside yourself, you know? Just be strong in your faith first. That's the most important thing, is to be strong in your faith. And then you can do anything, because God is in charge. So, I mean, you have to understand that God is in charge. Is God controlling things? He knows what's going to happen. You know, we might not know, but we know what the ending is going to be. So we just have to be patient. We have to be aware, and we have to be strong in our faith. That's what I think. And all this other stuff, you know, faith is the most important. I really haven't watched the news in a week, so I really don't know. I just watch the headlines with you at night, you know, but I really don't get wrapped up in it. But that's me, because I'm next to you. So, you know, I get the news from you, and you tell me, and I've read your book, so I know. You know, you can't just be like that if you don't know what's going on and you're confused and you think you just pull out and do that. It's not going to work out.
Trump went to Fordham. What we hoped that because he didn't join the secret societies in Fordham, on Fordham campus, he was actually a guy who had better intentions. He seemed to instead want to use the Jesuit techniques to his advantage. Jesuits are very much
we were played. We were all played. Really played hard.
Because Jesuits are experts in the art of disguise, of playing people, or manipulating people.
Shame.
And I think that is really something that is very disappointing. Then we have, of course, a guy like Joe Biden, who is completely different.
Tanya, nice to meet you. From Louis Virgin, from Stanville.
I've spent over a month in
Thank you so much for your support of your family.
By the way, I keep pushing as hard as I can.
I know, thank you so much.
He looks like, he looks like an old folk who should be in a retirement home, and that's it. But I mean, to think that, you know, he was even the candidate for presidency of the United States after a disastrous presidency, because his presidency led to the Trump presidency, hoping, of course, that Trump would do a better job, as he did a good job for the first mandate. But suddenly things change, because, you know, he knows, Trump, that once he finishes mandate, he's no longer a politician. His main interest is the family business. So Trump podcasters are turning away from him.
When Donald Trump had his eyes on the White House, it was ears that helped him get there. And the president's not-so-secret weapon, what is referred to as the manosphere. That is a group of male podcasters and influencers very popular with young men who overwhelmingly turned out for him in the election.
Some of these women, they're so
They're so stupid. He appeared on Joe Rogan's podcast, America's biggest, with around 11 million listeners per episode. And with Theo Von, whose clips often hit millions of views. Both endorsed the president, helped him win. But something's changed.
On day one, I will launch the largest deportation program in American history.
That was the winning election promise. This is the reality. Arrests at workplaces and hardware stores.
But to be honest, the only good thing he has done with Tom Homan is the immigration. He has put a stop to the immigration at the border. There is no longer millions of people coming through the border. That's the only good thing. But you cannot promise, promises made, promises kept, and those promises kept, very few after the promises made were plentiful, and they were really projecting a completely different future for America than what we have now.
And some of those huge supporters now publicly cooling.
This storming into Home Depot and arresting people? No, that's not cool either. No. The military in the street, I think, is a dangerous precedent.
Heard you got deported, dude.
Theo Von furious that this video of his was used by the government in an immigration promo. Aidan Ross, who gave Trump a Tesla, now going in the other direction. So you both voted first time last year, right?
Yes.
For Trump?
Yes.
How do these podcasts affect your vote?
Kind of being able to hear him talk for 3 hours, it kind of gets you a little bit more, oh, this is who he is. He's a little...
Somebody's asking me if Jesuits are Machiavellian. Actually, I wrote a whole book on this concept, and you should read volume 12, guys, if you want to really know how the Jesuits operate.
Human.
When you see these manosphere podcasters moving away from the president, what do you make of all of that?
I think it's important to make your own decisions and not blindly follow like a celebrity or a podcaster just because you enjoy watching their show.
To be clear, Donald Trump does still have a huge amount of support. Think backers like Benny Johnson, Steve Bannon, Tucker Carlson, podcasters with massive audiences. But when your big names that really resonate with that crucial young male voter start to peel away, what is it? Are we talking mild annoyance, or is this code red?
Welcome back to another episode of Seeing Red.
Garrett Fultz, host of conservative podcast Seeing Red and a former Republican strategist, knows a thing or two about political messaging.
It's not a mosquito bite. It's something you probably want to talk to your doctor about, but you don't need to go to the emergency room for.
The reason this is significant now, the midterms in less than a year's time, and the Democrats are already sensing momentum after some recent victories. California's governor, Democrat Gavin Newsom, a possible presidential contender, not only trolling Trump on social media, but also leaning into that podcast space. When you look ahead to the next big election, what's going to be the technology or the medium that gets people to vote?
I think we see more and more people turning to influencers on mediums like TikTok or Instagram.
Now, for those who still have Trump as a last hope, let me tell you, I've been a Trump fan from the very start. I was the founder of Italians for Trump. I left the country because of Trump, and my support for him got me in trouble also with the local Italian authorities, and we had to flee a country. And now I even changed my citizenship for Donald J. Trump. I organized with them the Coachella event, which was a very important event with 105,000 people.
You were part of Italians for Trump.
I was, and we were the only organization outside of the United States, even when Trump was still participating to the primaries in the Republican Party. Alex Jones came to me in the summer of 2015, and we decided to support Trump. But now, even Alex, who is still trying to, have some, he changes his ideas very quickly on Trump. He was very disappointed with Trump in the past first administration when he invaded Syria. He said some very terrible things against Trump. But then after he changed his mind, he backed Trump once again. And then he changed his mind and he doesn't like Trump. And then the thing is that you need to be very firm. And the thing is, what did Trump promise? Did he maintain those promises? Yes or no? So don't fool yourself. Don't fool yourself. I'm living in the United States of America. People who live outside of the United States of America might have a distorted perception of Trump, might think this and that. But if you live here, if you go to the supermarket, if everything is costing double as much as it was costing 6 years ago, then there is a problem here, a problem that needs to be sorted out. Trump promised an economy that will go back to normal. Prices will go down on day one. Did he maintain his promise? No. And then his tariff war became a big mess. He had to retract on most of them. And still to this day, we don't know if this or this other tariff will influence even the cost of pasta, 107% more. Of course, it will never happen, because the moment he puts 107% more on the pasta, I think that will be really the last straw for a lot of people. I mean, you can take it as you want, but pasta is very much appreciated, not only by Italian Americans, by every American. So
That's
it's
true.
and the wines.
Everybody loves pasta. Everybody loves Italian food.
Yes.
So
and to have a sudden,
or most.
No, but the thing is also, you live with your elite friends in a very privileged environment. Your concern is the ballroom. The bigger, the better. When people can't put together lunch with dinner. And this is going to help a scumbag like Gavin Newsom, who has already ruined California, maybe obtain the presidency. Because the worse Trump acts, the more the Democrats will have a larger possibility of winning. You see what happens in the midterm elections. I mean, in the midterm elections, he might lose.
They're all a bunch of
He
rats.
might lose, but he might lose the lower part of the House, Senate. And at that point, that is a lame duck. That is a president who can't enact what he wants, because he's no longer having the legislative branch on his side. He's going to have a legislative branch who opposes him. Mark my words, today.
You're always
November
right,
29,
so we'll just see it.
Mark my words. Trump needed to bring out the secrets regarding Jeffrey Epstein, even if they involved themselves, and he should have been honest about it. And that will have already changed things around. But now we are talking also about the day-to-day life of the average American, who is, happy about, for example, what we're seeing with the immigration. But sometimes he went, maybe we should also realize that there needs to be not a compromise, but those people who are honestly here working.
That's what I'm saying.
They should work. Now, we saw, for example, one thing here where we live, we have the gardeners, the Mexicans.
Oh, they were so nice.
Okay, they were all.
Oh, they were so nice.
Okay, suddenly now they have been all sent back to Mexico, and now, though, they have been substituted with their children who are born in America and have obtained American citizenship.
They're nice too, though.
So, just to show you what has happened, but the big concern that we have with the Democrats and Republicans is that they are all part of a system that is controlled, that is in the hands of what you used to call, when I used to call them the Illuminati. And I gained popularity back in 2006 when I started my Illuminati Confessions online. It was almost 20 years ago. And people understood there was a power that was beyond political understanding. And that power I denounced with Illuminati Confessions online until 2009. Then me and Christy went to Japan. I signed my first book deal. Then I started to publish my books around the world. And then I started to publish them in the English language in 2015. It's been 10 years since the first publication in the English language, and people have been able to study the complexity of this system with 12 volumes, with Pope Francis the Last Pope, with Invisible Master, with this book on Jeffrey Epstein.
A book that was immediately censored, like your confessions 1, 2, and 3 were censored in Italy immediately.
I mean, these are books that actually created the reactions from the system to this day, I can't still say I can go back to Italy with all certainty because they are behind the scenes working against me. The judiciary is still working against me.
We asked a favor from Trump, and he never did a damn
yes,
thing.
That is another thing, guys. That is very important to say. Trump nominated his own ambassador in Rome, a guy from Texas, a guy from the entertainment world. I don't know much about him, but supposedly of Sicilian origins. So what I did, I wrote to him. Explaining him what this persecution, because, they went after me. They were trying to get even the judiciary here in America to move, but they couldn't. And so I asked them, this is part of what you have promised, the freedom of speech. You're fighting for the freedom of speech. Why don't you do something to help me out? Did the guy ever reply?
No, and that speaks a thousand
And I wrote
words.
a letter that I sent by mail, making sure.
And you tracked it.
Tracked it and everything. Did the ambassador? No. Did the ambassador for Trump in Rome did anything to help Americans like me who helped Donald J. Trump more than anybody else during his campaign? No. You cannot simply help those people who have billions of dollars and put them on a red carpet simply because they're going to give you $1 trillion, even if they are the worst assassins and scumbags from Saudi Arabia.
You can't get into heaven with that money. They'll bolt the doors, so you're not getting it into heaven. No way, Jose.
There is here a powerful Jewish sect that controls the banking system. Then you have the Jesuits who control the so-called spiritual world, and they are putting together this one world religion, as we are seeing even now with Pope Leo, who is acting, by the way, exactly like I said he will act. He's even worse than Pope Francis. He's a guy who does everything that Pope Francis did, and he does it even more, like inviting drag queens to have lunch with him or doing all kinds of things that are simply in favor of a woke church. But like I said, then all these Americans who suddenly feel they have found real Christianity because they embrace the Orthodox Church, be careful. The only Orthodox Church that is actually serious is the Russian one. And that's why now there is politicians in Washington moving against a representative of the Russian church here in America in the last couple of weeks. And that is also so even, any form of Christianity needs to be controlled by the CIA, by the FBI. Remember when during the Biden administration, the FBI would go around checking people who were going to the masses in Latin, like it was some kind of crime. And now, this week, the Vatican has even given up on the use of Latin for their internal documents and discourse. I mean, that is unprecedented because that's the official language of the Vatican. I hope you understand that here nobody wants to be negative about things, but we have to be realistic. We cannot be brought around and fooled around for more. No? It cannot be fooled. We need to tell things the way they are. Alternative information, alternative news like the one we are trying to do here with the Leo Zagami show is about that. If you simply stand with your political daddy and suck up to him, you're not going to bring that correct information, guys. The information me and Christy want to bring you once a week here with the Leo Zagami show. So we are very glad that there is at least somebody who believes in us, somebody who purchases my books.
There's a lot of people that believe this week.
So and we want to thank also those people who become our sponsors through GoFundMe, through the Cash App handle. You can find on leozagami.com. And God bless you all, guys. There is a satanic agenda, is the cyber Satan agenda, is the agenda that is now unveiling also the alien agenda, because that is all part of it, because the reverse engineering that started in the 1950s on those UFOs has brought us this digital prison that we are currently living in. Remember that. Thank you so much from me and Christy. Who are the sponsors of today's show, Christy?
Daniel Estes and Malgazad Aminta.
Join them, and of course, we will see you next week. Please share this video with your friends and family on your social networks of choice. I can never be so, thankful about what you do for us, because you really do a lot for us. So,
and I like to be here with you. So
yeah, it's good. It's good, guys. So I see you next week. We see you next week. Me and Christy will see you next week.
I'm always here. I don't quit.
Okay, don't quit, Christy. Don't quit.
I never quit.
Okay, that's good.
In that time, our world has taken so many steps in the wrong direction.
Make you evolve. He's actually the guy who has done this incredible book cover. The Rise and Fall of Frankie's Monster, my latest book, has only 5-star reviews. Great book. Take care, and we will see you next week. God willing.
Yeah. I didn't talk about that.
Dance.
Technology, social organization, dehumanization. Technology, social organization.